Hey, Buck the Movie Buff back here to talk about Emilia Perez. Perez, depending on Spanish or English pronunciation. What a movie. So interesting to see a movie, then see it garner the amount of Oscar nominations this has garnered, like 11, and then wonder, was it that good? I liked it. I wasn't thinking it would, you know, take that lead. And nothing against that, but there were other movies, in my opinion, that were really good and were overlooked this year. So let me kind of just dive into Emilia Perez and this musical that's unconventional about a narco kingpin played by Edgar Ramirez, who then decides to get out of that life and, live the life that this character was meant to live, which is as a woman, and would become Emilia Perez after being the narco trafficker Gustavo Brun. And that's played by Carla Sofia Gascon, which is a Spanish actress and the first ever openly transgender actress to receive an Oscar nomination. Okay. It's that type of musical that has rhythmic, somewhat spoken kind of song, less melodic. It's not what I'm getting at is it's not the traditional classic musical, like Sound of Music, if you will, or Mary Poppins, and not even, I would say, like Moulin Rouge or Chicago, which was the last musical to actually win an Oscar award for Best Picture. This movie also had some actual singers like Selena Gomez in it, and and she received criticism because of her inability to speak Spanish fluently, like she's from Mexico City as she plays in the movie. That being said, I think there might have been something written into the script that she had spent some of her formative years in Los Angeles growing up. Zoe Saldana, which is a pretty good actress and has been in series like Westworld, I thought was good. And again, getting at that idea that, it was a good movie, and I was pleasantly surprised, especially when I saw some of the criticism on Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes and how so many people didn't like this. I mean, I think after I'd seen it, had like a 2.3 or 2.5 on Letterboxd, and I gave it a much higher score, a 5 actually, and said, wow, I've not seen a musical like that. And it was unconventional. And I thought, the cool thing, it was in Spanish mostly, and it had this kind of different approach to the music that was more, rhythmic and Latin fusion. Now, fast forward about a week later, I see it gets 11 Oscar nominations. And I say, what the heck? I thought it was a good movie, but was it that good? Was it that great? And plus movies like Kneecap, this Irish rapper movie with actual Irish rappers from Belfast that speak Irish and rap in Irish and are a true rap duo with a DJ, and have done a lot for the movement to preserve and encourage more learning and language acquisition of the Irish language, since like 80,000 people speak it on out of a few million in Ireland. So it's one of these languages that are, I think it's on average a language is dying every month or two on the planet, and dialects even more so. Like if you have dialects, some dialects are actually going extinct at a rate of every 2 weeks. Okay. And so that movie, which I loved, and this movie, which I really liked, and then gets 11 Oscar nominations, and another movie I really loved didn't get any. I thought, what the heck? It kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. What could it be? I'll say it right here and right now. The Academy actually often does this type of thing, especially in a polemic election year where you have now the Trump administration running the show, and on day one comes out and says things like, President Trump said there will be only two genders, going forward, male and female. And he's frozen a lot of the federal funding that was going into programs of DEI, like diversity, equality, and inclusion. And I'm not at all trying to make this channel political. I'm just saying these are some of Trump's policies. It's often a case where maybe the Academy tries to send a message, to Washington, D.C., or to the government, the state, or things that are happening currently in the nature of politics with movies and art. It's where I get disillusioned sometimes, because I really feel the movies and art should win the awards they win based on their merit. And while I did like this musical and thought it was a different kind of musical, I was not expecting it to have 11 Oscar nominations. I was not expecting other movies like Kneecap to be overlooked, or even Here with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, which I thought was a phenomenal cinematic achievement. I have done a review of that already after I saw it in the cinema, but it received 0 Oscar nominations. It's like, what's going on? And it's like, okay, maybe the Academy is utilizing this year's Oscars for the purpose of sending a political message to the state. So again, get out and see it. Even if it's not a movie that you think is up your alley, I always feel like, to be able to criticize something, you should at least see it, read it, watch it, whether it be a book, a news broadcast. I mean, if you don't agree with someone, hear what they have to say, listen to them, and then, form your own opinion or critique what they have to say. And so, well, I'm not probably going to go back and change my Letterboxd rating. I was kind of disillusioned when I saw how many Oscars this movie got, because it's definitely not one of my favorite musicals. I wouldn't say that, although I did think it was a different kind of one, and I thought that was cool. But I really think it's taken some of the Oscars when maybe it shouldn't, and some should have gone to other movies that were phenomenal this year. And so it's with a bit of pain that I say that. I speak Spanish fluently. I did have some of the issue with the linguistic element of the film. Selena Gomez, okay, she had years in LA. She could have spoken Spanish better. I see that. Even Zoe Saldana, I think, is supposed to be a character that's from Mexico. I think they should have written her in as maybe some other Caribbean character or South American character, because she didn't know how to sometimes pronounce emphatically right some of the modismos mexicanos, the colloquialisms that are Mexican. Like they have one that's like, don't mess with me, don't screw with me, no mames, and the way she said it, I was kind of like, oh, that didn't sound right. Maybe some of the actual Spanish actors can put on the right accent for a particular dialect, but then again, I thought that you couldn't find actual Mexican actors, even that might be openly transgender and want to give it a go out of a country with over 150 million people. Come on. So I always kind of have an issue with that in the linguistic element. It's the same thing with Frida Kahlo. Here you had Julie Taymor do a movie, and you have Salma Hayek in the role of Frida, and she's speaking English. And it's like, what the heck? With Alfred Molina también speaking English, So there was a bit of Spanglish with Alfred Molina. También speaking English, also speaking English. I thought that movie should have been done in Spanish, and it was still a beautiful and artistic film to watch, Frida Kahlo. But it was like, you cast a Mexican in this role. She speaks Spanish. She is a second language speaker of English. And yet they did the movie in English, I think, to appeal more commercially to an audience. And it was 20 years ago that movie came out. It was a different time. I think now they could have done it maybe in, how should you say, in Spanish. A lot more people are open to seeing movies, in the actual language that it should be filmed in. So again, Emilia Pérez, nominated for 11 Oscars. Should it be? Don't know. Let's see what it actually wins. Let's see what the sentiment of the Academy is this year. And check out the other movies that are popping up on my channel, since we're getting close to the 2025 Oscar awards, if they have them, because you have the most devastating fire ever, I think, in American history, of the Palisades, which is right near LA, and they've done Fire Aid concerts with Red Hot Chili Peppers, a reunited Nirvana that has Dave Grohl's Violet Grohl singing as the front gal of Nirvana. And people like Stephen King saying there shouldn't even be an Oscar ceremony, because that money and funding should go as proceeds towards rebuilding the Palisades and helping with the situation, the catastrophic situation of these Santa Monica fires that happened in the past few weeks. So we'll see. It's a very interesting year politically, natural environment wise, climatically, and even artistically with the Oscars. So with that said, that's all, folks. And